everyone. My name is Antonia Kuhn, and I am one of 2 German youth delegates to the UN General Assembly. And before I start, I would really like to thank the organizers of this conference, the Journalists and Writers Foundation, for reaching out not only to me, but to many young people to represent the youth perspective here in this conference. This should be normal, but we being here is still the exception, so thank you very, very much for this. Before I talk a little bit more about the youth perspective on the global challenges of the increasing influx of migration and refugees, I would like to very quickly introduce the Youth Delegate program because I believe not everyone here is aware of the existence even of this program. So here we go. The Youth Delegate programs, to start with, have been highly encouraged by the United Nations and the member states in several resolutions in which the member states call upon each other to include youth delegates into the national delegations to the UN. Up to today, about 50 member states have answered this call, which is not much, but it's a start. And they support bringing the youth perspective to the United Nations. Our role as youth delegates is thus to advise the national delegations on the youth perspective on basically any topic that comes up. I guess all of you know that representation is very important for good and sustainable decision-making processes, so this is where we come in as youth delegates. Before we go to New York to represent the youth perspective, most of us do a consultation process with the national youth of our country, or the youth living in our country. They can also be migrants to our country, of course, to find out what we should represent to the United Nations. This also gives me the position to not only speak for myself today, but to speak for 15 million young Germans, or young people living in Germany, aged from 14 to 25. And with this being said, I would like to now lose some words on the role of young people in Germany in welcoming and supporting refugees and migrants. So on the positive contribution that youth can make in dealing with the global challenges of the increasing influx of migration and refugees. I think all of you can recall the situation. This was in Germany in 2015. As we all know and have heard before, that was the time when the global so-called refugee crisis was at its peak. And a relatively small amount of refugees came to Germany, but this still led to about some thousands of people coming to Germany per day in late summer and early autumn in Germany in 2015. German society, overall speaking, reacted very positively to this. Germans have a difficult relationship with patriotism, but this was one of the moments when I was proud to be a German. This newspaper cover sums it up. This is a newspaper cover from August of 2015, and it's titled "Welcome," which I think is beautiful, and it sums up the spirit of Germany during that time. Now, to add some figures to this welcome notion, about 15,000 people were getting involved either voluntarily or as part of their professional capacity to welcome and accommodate and supply all those refugees. Now, what was the role of youth in all of this? According to official statistics, the youth and voluntary engagement for refugees was as strong as the voluntary engagement of elder people. But I would say that the structure of youth engagement was quite different from the structure of engagement of elder people. Youth engaged in many very diverse ways. They did not only support the already existing structures that were there to help refugees in the very first moment with accommodations, with distributing food, water, clothes, all the very essential needs that you need in the first moments. No, youth went beyond this. Youth also got organized themselves and created very many different initiatives and projects to support refugees coming into Germany. They got organized and got involved either with their youth organizations that they're part of, but also young people got involved privately. Just from one day to another, they decided that they want to act for refugees in Germany. And what I found personally quite interesting about this is that mobilization happened to 99% via social media as well as organization. Youth is always told that we would not be political, but this shows that we are. We just use different tools for it, right? And those projects and initiatives that you've created in Germany was very diverse. It ranged from, in the first picture you see a bicycle shop where young Germans or young people living in Germany repair bicycles with refugees for refugees to enable them to be mobile in the new society that they will be part of. Other people create round tables to cook together, to just bring people together from different backgrounds to create a dialogue. To create the first bonds. And I think this is a very important first step towards sustainable integration, to create this forum for this space for dialogue. So young people, to sum it up, did not only support newcomers in the very first moment of them coming to Germany, but also engaged for the long term for sustainable integration of migrants to Germany. Why youth engagement is very important for sustainable integration also comes clear when we look at who actually came to Germany. Here we can see that about 16% of people coming to Germany were aged between 18 and 25. And if we take the definition of youth by the General Assembly, that will be young people from 14 to 25, then this is 1/4 of the people who came to Germany from 2015 to 2018. So 1/4 young people. And integration is much easier when peer-to-peer communication dialogue takes place, right? So this is why we need to get young people on board to help those newcomers find their place in society, to find out what their role is or can be in the new society and how they can maybe merge this with the other role that they have been taking with them from their background society. So to sum things up, I argue that we need to involve young people in sustainable or for sustainable integration of newcomers into any society, especially also when we look at that in conflict areas, young people very often are the majority of the population. So they are also very likely to be the majority of those fleeing from those countries and being refugees to other countries, to host countries. So youth needs to be involved for sustainable integration, and I personally believe that youth offers so much potential that we still didn't even start using, and I think that we need to get to use youth potential much more for sustainable integration. Thank you very much.